wonderful 2-week vacation to Germany. And then people were like, why wouldn't you want to stay? And then we explained to them why we would never live there. And then they understand, like, oh. And then I think they appreciate America a little bit more.
We always say, like, we're not free anymore, but we are free. Like, you can open a business, you can live in your house, you
The
can...
fact that you can talk about your country in a negative way or your country's leaders in a negative way, publicly, online, wherever, like, that should show you how free you are.
But I was just, like, so grateful for all the opportunities we have here and, like, the life that we were able to build that would probably take you triple the amount of effort
Right.
in a different country with different political systems.
Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking Life with the box and the basket.
You know, at one point we're going to figure out because nobody ever knows what...
I know.
Unless you watch the origin story.
Yeah. Watch the origin story.
Then you...
Then you'll know why I'm the box and she's the basket. But our frequent flyers, no. I'd assume. I don't know. Anyways, so last year we took a wonderful 2-week vacation to Germany. And I think we have like the same conversation every time. Everybody like asks us like, oh, how was Germany? It was like, great. And then it always comes out that Vanessa was ready to go. I wanted to stay. And then people were like, why wouldn't you want to stay? And then we explained to them why we would never live there. And then they understand, like, oh. And then I think they appreciate America a little bit more. But we're going to talk about why America is the greatest country on earth. We'll get into it. But before we do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we appreciate y'all listening, watching, however you're getting our content. So
I grew up in Germany, right?
Yep.
So
I grew up here in America.
yeah. And he has a Mexican mom.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up when I was there until I was almost 18 in Germany. So
All right.
we're going to talk about European versus American.
Yep.
And for me, like, let's just dive right into it. I rolled a identity crisis when I moved in because I went to our class reunion,
Yeah.
20-year class reunion. I went to an all-girls school.
Oldest.
I almost didn't go. I'm not old. Look at me.
You're almost 40, dude. You're old.
Okay.
Rubbing the cradle.
A bunch of like young people complimented me on my jacket today, and I'm like, stop.
What jacket was it?
The brown one where I asked like a 20-something-year-old at Target where she got the jacket from, and I have
Oh,
here's wearing a cropped jacket. I'm almost 40 years old. Anyway,
you look good in
I
it.
lived in Germany until I was almost 18. So like my whole childhood, everything. And I went to German school. Like I had German friends. We did not have a lot of American influences.
Yeah.
Besides that, my dad was in the army, and that we occasionally went on to the commissary on the weekends to buy groceries.
Right.
But like my mom's German, we grew up German. So I went to this class reunion, and they still see me as like this girl, German girl that just lives in the United States.
Right.
But I've been here so long now that like
You've been here longer than you were in Germany.
yes, and it used to be like every year that identity kind of fades away,
Yeah.
and I can't describe it to people because it's not like you live in Texas and now you live in Florida.
Mhm.
It's like such crazy differences in how people are, how they live their life, how they treat you, how like everything.
Mhm.
And just so like when I came to the United States, like I had a hard time, like, who am I?
Right.
And so when I was confronted with that, or it's just two completely different cultures.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I like this from there, but I don't like this.
Right.
So we're going to talk about.
I think I like the simplicity of it, right? Because you don't have like the big, well, you have like the big city like Munich. So we're in Regensburg, and every like big city has a bunch of like small little villages of like, I don't know, maybe 500 to 1,000 people, right? And and it's an average. Not every little village has that amount of people, but and then within every little village is like a bakery, their own grocery store, their own deli market, and so like their own little, I guess, city.
Yeah.
And so I like the simplicity of that. Of like everybody wakes up, like Monday morning is like, what I'm going to say, it's like their recovery day basically. So like nothing opens before 10 a.m. and like Tuesdays pretty much like the same thing, like they open up a little bit earlier than that, and then Wednesday and Thursday and Friday they're like full speed, and then the weekend they slow back down where they're like opening up late, closing early. But like everybody goes to the bakery every morning, picks up like some bread or treats,
Fresh stuff.
yeah, and then they hit up the deli market, and then
It's
Sunday,
not even a market. It's like a tiny little.
shop.
It's like a room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Sundays everything is closed, so Saturday everybody picks up stuff for Sunday, and then into Monday morning. So I like that simplicity of it, where just life is slow, like nobody's rushing to get out of there. There's not, industrial stuff going on around there. But then you kind of miss like your life back here, and like I guess the abundance of stuff that we have is just.
It's like when you're in the U.S. and the weekend is here and you have the option to do something, it's okay. But when you're in Germany and you don't have the option of doing anything because it's closed, then it's like, but what if I wanted to do something? Yeah. It's so weird. And granted, like I grew up in a small village, like literally we had one traffic light. Yeah. And I know there are bigger cities. Stop. There are bigger cities that people live in, and I'm not saying everybody lives in a little village, but tell me one place, I would have to search high and low, where there's a little village like that, like here in the U.S. There's a lot of big cities. So it was okay, but then it wasn't. Like there's no breakfast restaurant. You have to go to a big city. You can't sit down and have eggs and bacon or anything.
There's no like IHOPs or like chain restaurants.
No, everything is little mom and pop, and you better want like a pretzel or some kind of pastry for breakfast because there's nothing else. Yeah. And if you didn't get groceries, you're out of luck. So, I don't know.
It's interesting for sure.
Another thing was, like, we're different and we live differently. Their houses, for example. Yeah. We have 3,600 square feet. It's a decent amount of space. But for them, they're like, oh, that is huge. Why do you have so many bathrooms? Like, there, people have like 800 square feet, 1,200 square feet. Like, if you have like 15 to 2,000 square feet, you're like, have a mansion. It's like, why do you have such a big house? And everybody has one bathroom, and it is absolutely torturous. Like, the logistics of it was all five of us. Before anybody showered, do you have to go potty? Do you have to go number two? Do you have to go pee? What do you have to do? Because that's going to go shower. Or like just maneuvering that around is like insane. But they just have small spaces and they're okay with it.
Right. But then like most families only have like 1 to 2 kids. And so they have them like back to back normally. There's usually not a big age gap. And so I guess, I don't know. I mean, obviously if you live there and you're born and raised there, like that's what you're,
that's all you know.
Don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Like us having ample space in our home, and like you can send the kids upstairs or downstairs and they're annoying. Like not being able to do that in that little small apartment was rough. Even when we moved here to Colorado, like we had an apartment for 6 months. It was like a 2-bedroom apartment. It was only 4 of us, and the kids were little, so they shared a room. Like even that was rough.
But I feel like homeownership, I'm going to look up the statistics, but homeownership is not as obtainable as it is here.
Oh, yeah. But there, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, most homes are like 3 stories, and each floor, so the 3 floors, each floor is its own little apartment, and the grandparents move to the bottom floor, the parents move to the middle floor, and then the kids live on the top floor whenever they're adults.
We have a name for it. It's like a familiar house, so like a family house.
Right.
And then they tell you, like, it's 1 family, 2 family, 3 family, like, that's how it was. Like, a lot of my friends, when they were little, we were little, and I would go visit them at their house. That's what most of my friends lived. But now it's 20 years later, and from the class reunion, like, some have now branched off and either bought, like, a condo or an apartment, or they've built their own house. Right. Like, here, you go to a community, and they have 6 models. You pick one, they build it, and you move in. That's not how it is. You have to have
custom
the land, and then you have to find an architect, and then you have to, like, everything. There's not a lot of, like, pick and go kind of scenario. So, like, the entries to homeownership are harder than they are here. And I looked it up, and it's the homeownership rate in the U.S. has continuously been about 20% higher as compared to Germany. But even there, like, you can get a loan easily for a car, for a house. My aunt was saying she's in her 60s, and because she is in her 60s, they can't take a mortgage. They can't take a loan because they're too old, and they will probably die before they pay it off. So they cannot get a loan, which is in the United States, like,
anybody
you come to me at like 70 years old, you can have a loan. Like,
you got good credit?
Insane. It's like the barriers to a lot of these things that we have easily accessible are so much higher.
Right.
And I just, like, you don't think about those things. I was a kid in Germany, and then I came here and I had to figure out how to be an adult in the United States. So I had different, like, I was never exposed to what would it be like to be an adult. I mean, I knew from my parents, but like...
But even then, they weren't like traditional German parents were, because your dad was American, still working an American job just overseas. So it was, I'm sure, different. But because even like your dad was still accustomed to American things, and you guys had American things in your home.
We did.
So,
well, we built a house.
Yeah.
And
nobody lived above or below you.
No, but my mom built the house with an apartment in the bottom so that we could do the whole switcheroo thing.
Oh.
But then we moved.
Yeah.
To this country, and I thought it was the worst thing ever.
To this country.
And it really wasn't. No.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and if you ask my siblings, maybe for them still.
That's any teenager if you take them away from all their friends.
No, to this day, I think if you still ask Georgie, you might still agree.
Yeah.
But I think just like I will be living a completely different life. Like,
it would be crappy because I wouldn't be in it. It's unfortunate, but you got lucky.
Maybe you got stationed in Germany and you would have still been delivered to me.
No, because I was getting out anyway.
What else? So, let's talk about it. We know in this country we hate paying taxes, right? Like, who loves paying taxes?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does. But the level to which Germans have to pay taxes, like, everybody's like, well, why don't you want to move back? Like, don't they have 1 year free maternity leave, and then you get money if you have, like, child money? You get child support, basically, from
the
government. You get citizenship money. Like, you get all these free things. But guess how much you're paying in taxes?
50%.
48%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I think it's like you have to make 60 or 70, and then you get to 48%. So it's so funny. The lady that owned our Airbnb, so it was like one of those family houses that had several apartments. Any chance she would stop and talk to me, and she has like 5 income sources, but they can't get ahead because they are in a different bracket. So 50% of everything gets taken. So it's like, there's not a lot of tax breaks for business owners. There's not a lot of like incentives and all that, where I feel like here we pay a lot of taxes, but like we get a lot back. And in the grand scheme, for the amount of money we make and for what we get in this country, it's not that much if you look at other countries. It's just that so many people have never been exposed to other countries' political systems and like how they do things. Like they know bits and pieces, like, oh, well, they have a year maternity leave. You don't have to go back to work. But at this point,
somebody's got to pay for that time off.
So many things have happened where the same as here, like you used to be able to survive on one income, and you can't so much anymore. Like they're taking one vacation a year and they're like driving to a country nearby and they're pinching pennies and that's it. Like I'm not saying that the whole thing is in Europe, like they live slower lives and they're happy with that. But then that's always what I thought, because that's how it was when I was little. But then when I went to the class reunion, like we're all moms and we're all sitting around bitching about the same things. Like that we need more time to ourselves, that we want to take more vacations, that we don't like our jobs. I like my job, but some of the people didn't like their jobs. So it's like, it's different, but it's not so different. And then just the 48% taxes like kills me.
Well, you had that friend, she went to like Africa and she had to like basically threaten her job that like, I'll quit if you don't give me like this time off. Well,
because she was part-time. So she wasn't entitled to any time off.
Right. But that's what I'm saying though. Like you don't, like most jobs that you work, you're basically working to live instead of living, or you're living to work rather than working to live.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of the biggest differences for sure. And then their politics are crazy. So their politics are like, they get a lot of the liberal media from the U.S. And they're like months or years behind. So like even their fashion is years behind. Like they're still wearing, I don't know, early 2000s like brands and stuff. And then you'll see, like we saw like the Black Lives Matter graffiti on there. And Germans were asking us, they were like, you guys are from America, what's Black Lives Matter? Like, we don't even have black people here. Like, I don't understand. And they had like ACAB. And I'm sure a lot of Germans don't even know what that stands for, but ACAB was all over the place. But they get a lot of like liberal media from the US, and that's all we would hear on the radio. Like, I didn't understand most of it. And they're like, just speaking German, and then you just hear Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And
there's still like, Donald Trump is still like a heavily debated topic. Like, almost anyone I talked to, Trump came up. Like
like people were asking us to vote for Trump because they want like less liberal politics in Germany. So they're like, please just vote for Donald Trump. Like, we need him back in office.
But they have limited, like the information that they have is just And I'm not saying like that our news outlets in the United States we have limited information too. Sure. Like they give us what they want us to hear. And I think that most of it is like designed to like pitch us against each other and distract from other things that they might be doing. But it was such a weird dynamic. Like I felt like it was election, like from the last time. Like that, I went 4 years behind. And
then the whole Israel and Palestine thing kicked off while we were there. And it's not that far. It's like a 3-hour flight, like 20-hour drive. So it's not super far. But yeah, we were hoping we didn't get delayed or anything crazy, because they were talking about like shutting the country down, and there's a lot of refugees. And that was the other thing, the refugees that come into Germany, because they have like no border protection.
They let everybody in.
And they like house them, like any refugees, they'll house them, they'll give them like a monthly stipend that is meant for German citizens. It's like $1,600.
They get health insurance. So a lot of people take advantage, right? Because there's no real way to like police it.
Right.
So they let these people in that like, there was people that were like cleaning ladies and they just wanted to divorce their husbands. So they came here, they get everything for free. and then but
came
they plan like
Germany.
they get to Germany. They divorce. They work here. They get like an apartment, housing, healthcare. A lot of people come with like health issues, have their operations, and they go back. And but then the like retirement system is now so broken in Germany, and like so much money is taken out of it that they plan to like work and live here, but then they plan to go back. For example, one of them to go back to the Ukraine to retire there because they'll get more money. So it's just, and I'm like, sure there are refugees that need to go somewhere, and I'm not saying like I'm a cold-hearted person, but but there it's a little insane.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
They're letting
Yes, and they don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
So now people that are in their country, like are German citizens and have worked all their life and are working, if you're paying 48% taxes and it's going to the refugees, you're going to be pissed. I'm sorry. I don't like.
Well, they also sent, the one lady told us that the German government sent like a census to everybody and was asking like how many people in their household, how many rooms they have, how many bathrooms they have, and how many are being used. And then they were forcing people to take in refugees into those empty rooms or rooms that they weren't using as often.
There's such a shortage of places. So now German citizens cannot buy property, or you can't like have an Airbnb. You can't rent something out. Like if a refugee needs a place to stay, then you need to give that to them first. And the problem is that it's so hard to police that a lot of people are taking advantage. So of course, the refugees that really need it are being helped, but then also other people are coming and they're taking advantage. Yeah. And it's just wild.
So imagine that here in the U.S., where, like us, we have 6 bedrooms and we only use 4 of them. And then they'll be like, hey, you need to take in these 2 families. Put it like, there's no freaking way.
And you know what? Like, people are probably going to come for us in the comments like, oh, those poor refugees, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? There's always... I love it when they interview people like on the street, like, oh, yeah, they should be helping the refugees. They should be letting people in the country and blah, 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 and this and that. Okay, well, do you have an empty room? Yeah. Oh, no, I don't really have enough room. Like, put your money where your mouth is. What was that person that would take in a refugee family, then you can comment and you can hate on us all you want. But until you do, like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just, I would feel very uncomfortable.
There's a video of the dude, remember, he's like at his house and he's like, you're a Democrat? He goes, yeah, of course. He goes, you want to help out refugees and all these people? They're like, yeah, absolutely. Like we should absolutely let them in and let them stay here in the U.S. And then the guy with the camera's like, oh, perfect. He goes, I have 2 people right here actually with them looking for a room. He's like, no, I can't take them in right now. So like, it sounds good, right? Like, you want to be supportive and stuff, but I mean, let's be real. Like, nobody in the right mind would take a random refugee family from a different country to let them stay in there.
There are some people that are like so good-hearted that they will. I don't think the majority of this country would do that.
No.
And it's just,
especially if you have kids.
We're always crying about like, oh, this country's going to shit, and oops, and this and that, and then. Like, I have a lot of friends that their parents came from different countries, right? Like Russia, Czech Republic, Poland. Like, there in some of those countries, it's even worse. Like, you can't celebrate Christmas. They tell you what to do. Like, we always say, like, we're not free anymore, but we are free. Like, you can open a business. You can live in your house. You can...
The fact that you can talk about your country in a negative way or your country's leaders in a negative way publicly, online, wherever... Like, that should show you how free you are. There's this comedian, I forgot who it is, but he talks about he's like in New York and he has like this, I don't know, he's like a Middle Eastern cab driver. And he says he's trying to cross with a green light and this lady walks by. So he has to like stop, and then she stares at him and she flips him off. And then he tells the comedian who's in the back seat, he goes, you know, in my country, he goes, I would get out of the car, he goes, and I would beat her to death. And I would come back a week later and she would still be there. So the fact that you have that freedom to like flip somebody off here in the U.S. and not be killed, like, that should tell you you have the most freedom.
Killed without any repercussions. Like,
Right.
people probably do that. Like, a lot of crazy shit happens in this country, but you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
There, no. Like,
No, because it's,
yeah.
especially women, like, there's, I forget who sent the video of women, they're, like, in New York or Seattle or something, some liberal city, and they're, like, protesting for Palestine. They're like, I'm sure that's what Palestine wants, is women on the street without head covers, and they're, like, chest exposed, rooting for them or trying to support them. Like, I'm sure that's exactly what they want, because their women aren't free. Like, their women are working in the fields, or they're at home cooking dinner, making, like, being homemakers. Like, that, they don't care about women like we do here in the U.S.
But then some people will say that we don't care about women. But I think it's all perspective. Like,
yeah,
I think we do. Like, I don't know.
I think there's opportunity for everybody if you put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
No, don't let us know anything
No, let
in
us
the comments.
know.
I don't want to hear it.
I love it. I love hearing other people's perspectives. And I mean, we're not like super democratic, super liberal. We're not like,
Super
just be a good,
Republican, super whatever. Like,
yeah, like, just be a good freaking person. Be a good person. Do good. Do right. And it's hard to.
I think politics is all a crock. You know, like, it used to be where, like, I would align from something from here, and then this made sense from here, and then this made sense from here. But now it's getting to a point where, like, certain sides, without saying too much, are like, okay, this doesn't make any more sense, and you guys are crazy. But, like, at the end of the day, I don't really believe that a lot of politicians, the big ones, have our best interest at our heart.
No.
It's about who's paying them.
Yeah.
How will they get more power? Like, we know politicians, and they're great people, and they are like a lower level and not super famous or anything, but they are trying to change things.
Right.
But then the further up you go, the more, like, murky the waters get, and, like, big players and different industries get involved and start paying people off. And I don't think it's a conspiracy. It's a fact. You can follow the numbers.
What is it? Warren Buffett? He's like, I know how to fix this country.
No, I mean, I love him. Warren Buffett is like,
yeah,
I love him.
He's like, you just, as soon as, you know, something, or we go into the negative, he goes, whoever, yeah, he goes, just take him out of office.
No, he says, stop paying the politicians.
Yeah.
Until we're, like, back in the positives or something.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's like, you're in office until we go into the negative or something bad happens, and he goes, then you're in office.
Yeah.
But, like, I forgot what country it is. All the politicians or any type of, like, political office position is only paid whatever the median wages are in the country. So, like, if the median wage is $40,000, that's the max that any politician in office gets paid. Which now I think I would be interested to see what, like, the median political party pay is. It has to be in the hundreds of thousands.
But that's the thing. They don't even get paid that much. But then they start accepting money from other places and nonprofits and like finding these little loopholes.
Their campaigns get
more money. So you can set the salary at whatever you want. They're going to find other ways to get paid. And a lot of it is they do it the right way, so it's legal. So then we get screwed because then they're working for the company that's supporting them and paying them as opposed to working for the citizens. So anyway, that went off on a tangent. What else do we like about Germany? The windows. You want windows like that?
Yeah, their windows are dope. So their windows are basically, it's like a door almost, and you can, like, the one that we had in our bedroom, like, it was at a slope because of the ceiling, but they basically open up and it's just wide open to the outside. But, like, in the regular, like, I don't know, bedroom window, you can swing the whole thing open, or you can close it and just, like, it tilts from the top out, and you could have, like, a screen on the outside. And then most of the windows have, like, I don't even know what you call them, the roller things.
Rolladen,
whatever. It's just,
they're like shutters.
yeah, it's just like blackout shutters, so they
On the
basically
outside of the
stack. Yeah, they stack on top of each other, and it's just like, imagine like in New York when they roll those roll downs to cover the front of their shops. That's what it is on the windows.
Marvelous.
It was great. You sleep in, and or you wake up at like 10 o'clock in the morning, you're like, oh, it's still 2 in the morning. Go back to sleep.
That's not.
So yeah, it's good. I liked it. Driving
Another thing
is always great.
that pissed me off and always does is that in the U.S., and this probably has to do with all these politicians getting paid by people,
Oh, here we go again.
that like we had Nutella from here because it was in the kids' snack bag for the airplane. And then we bought some over there. And the ingredients are completely different.
Yep.
And most of the stuff that's in the American Nutella is banned in Germany. And that's with a lot of things, like Europe as a whole, they do, like, they put grades, for example.
Oh, yeah, on the food.
Like, if you, like, pizza is not very nutritious, right? So they start putting, like, this one is like a C, this one's a D because it has pepperoni and a lot of fat. So, like, they put on the front, like, with, like, D's and greater is, like, in red. Like, this is bad. You shouldn't eat this.
But they have like a veggie cauliflower pizza or something that's like an A+.
You know, like a B or whatever.
Gross.
But like a lot of the ingredients are banned in the United States. So like my stomach felt so nice over there. I feel like it reset me and I can go to the bathroom all the time. So I get clogged back up.
Give it a month.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the food coloring, a lot of stuff. The drinks taste different. The candy tastes different. Like they don't have banned Kinder eggs.
Yeah.
Because nobody's trying to sue somebody.
But they changed the design though, where it's just like the half. So the Kinder egg was like this chocolate little egg, and you would crack the chocolate open, and then there was like a little surprise on the inside. And the kids loved it. And they banned them here in the U.S. because it was like a choking hazard. And but then they ended up changing the design where it's still like the egg, but it's just the half. And then so they have like the one half covered up, and then the other half covered up. So that way you have to peel it, and you have to see that there was a toy inside.
Yeah, but you can still get the regular one.
Yeah. I didn't see any of the regular ones.
You can, huh?
Where on the black market?
No.
Oh.
They're still sold. What else? I mean, overall, it was just like...
You were over it, though.
I was, because it was a lot mentally. Seeing my family and my friends having an identity crisis. Thinking about that, how close we are to, like, all the war possibly breaking out. I was like, okay, I just start getting antsy. It was good. It was a good reset for us. But I was just like so grateful for all the opportunities we have here and like the life that we were able to build that would probably take you triple the amount of effort in a different country with different political systems. And a lot of people are not going to agree, and they're not going to try to relate, and they're not going to try to understand different countries because they think they know everything. But when you live it versus you just know a little bit about it, it's completely different.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait to go back. Maybe in a few years.
Next year, you're going to start needing a visa.
No, and they get that soon. But, all right. So let us know if you've ever been to Germany or Europe and what big differences you found. Or if maybe you live in Europe and you came to visit the U.S. Let's hear your thoughts on it on the reverse side. But, yeah, leave us a comment, drop a like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we appreciate y'all listening. See you on the next one.